The reason this matters now is simple. Sora is no longer interesting only as a model demo. It matters as a creation product. Once people can generate clips, edit ideas, share results, and react to each other inside a broader product loop, safety stops being a side feature. It becomes part of the operating system of the tool. That is the real shift behind OpenAI's Sora Safety messaging. The public framing says safety is built into both Sora 2 and the Sora app, which tells us the company is not only thinking about bad prompts at generation time. It is thinking about what happens before creation, during creation, and after a clip enters a social or collaborative environment. That is a more serious product problem than classic prompt filtering. The stakes change when a model becomes a platform, because distribution speed, reuse, remixing, and audience reach all multiply the downside of weak controls. The most useful reading of the source is that the scope of safety has widened. In earlier conversations around generative models, many people focused on whether the model should answer a prompt at all. Here, the more important question is how the whole creation workflow is managed. If OpenAI is talking about Sora 2 and the Sora app together, then the control surface is broader than the model weights. That likely includes how prompts are handled, how outputs are reviewed, what publishing constraints exist, and how distribution or sharing features are shaped inside the app. Even without a fully itemized public checklist, that change in framing matters. It suggests the company sees abuse risk as a systems problem, not just an inference problem. That is an important product distinction. A model can behave acceptably in isolation and still create trouble once social exposure, fast iteration, and large-scale sharing into the loop. The app layer is where risk management becomes operational instead of rhetorical. The app layer changes the risk because it changes user behavior. A model API is one thing. A polished consumer-facing product is another. Once a tool becomes easy to use, fast iterator, and socially legible, more people can produce more content with less friction. That can be great for creativity, but it also expands the attack surface. Harmful or misleading content can move faster. Boundary testing behavior becomes easier. A product team also has to think about account systems, reporting flows, sharing defaults, discovery mechanics, and moderation response times. In other words, safety is no longer about one yes or no gate. It becomes a continuous set of decisions about how much speed, freedom, and visibility the product offers by default. That is why the phrase safety at the foundation matters here. If it only means one classifier at the front door, it is weak. If it means coordinated controls across creation and distribution, it is much more meaningful. The boundary is just as important as the promise. The public summary tells us the direction of the safety design, but not enough about the mechanics to treat it as solved. We still need to know which protections are model side, which are app side, how enforcement works, what kinds of content are blocked or rate limited, how user reports are handled, and how robust those controls stay under adversarial pressure. That does not mean the safety work is empty. It means disciplined readers should separate architecture claims from performance evidence. There is a big difference between saying safety is built and showing how consistently the system handles edge cases at scale. The honest takeaway is that OpenAI appears to be thinking about Sora as a full-stack safety problem. That is the right direction. But direction is not the same as proof. And a creation platform only earns trust when the controls remain legible under real usage. For creators, The practical takeaway is that safety will increasingly shape the product experience, not just the policy page. Expect rules, friction points, or limits to live inside workflows people once treated as purely creative. For product launchers, the deeper point is broader than Sora. The next wave of generative tools will be judged less by whether they can produce impressive content and more by whether they can keep that content inside governable boundaries while remaining usable. That is why the story matters even before every implementation detail is public. It shows where the product competition is moving. The strongest AI creation tools will not win on model quality alone. They will win on the combination of model capability, workflow design, and credible safety operations. So the real signal here is not that Sora has solved generative video risk. It is that OpenAI is treating creation safety as a platform problem. And that is the standard the rest of the market will be compared against.